On Thursday afternoon, Donald Trump traveled to the state of Alabama, which is actually one of the hardest hit states from his trade war. So pretty gutsy for him to show up there when he has, harmed his own voters there more than anybody else in the country. But he showed up in the state of Alabama to deliver a commencement address for the University of Alabama. And instead of doing a typical commencement speech where he gives these graduates going out into the world advice or gives them motivation, Trump decided he wanted to go the opposite route and go full-blown dementia, ranting about things that nobody cared about and that had nothing to do with the graduates. A great example of that is when Donald Trump talked about a late real estate developer in New York, guy who died decades ago, and mocked him for having a trophy wife. A New York real estate developer having a trophy wife. And Donald Trump thinks that's something to make fun of. Okay, I guess people in glass houses can throw stones, right? I mean, you're a New York real estate developer and all you've ever had is trophy wives. But anyway, here is the story that Donald Trump told these very confused graduates around him. I'll just tell you a little story about a great real estate developer named William Levitt. He built Levitttown. Some of you might live in a Levitttown. He was the biggest developer in the whole country in the 1940s. And he built these jobs. He started with one house, then two houses, then 20 houses, then thousands and thousands of houses, and a company came along and they said, we're going to make you an offer to buy your company. And they offered him a lot of money, more money than he ever thought he could make, and he retired. Lost his momentum, he retired, and he led a beautiful wife. He had a wife. I must tell you, it was a second wife. It was a trophy wife. What can I say? I don't like telling you everything, but we're all friends, right? Can we talk? We're all friends. He had a trophy wife and he lived a different life. He moved to the south of France, but it was a life of tremendous luxury. Now, if I were to ask you that just heard me read word for word this quote from Donald Trump, could you even really tell me what it's about? Can you? No. What is the point of the story? Where are you going with it? Nobody in this room gives a crap about a guy who died decades ago that in the 70s or 60s moved to the south of France. Who gives a shit? Also, he had a trophy wife. I don't like saying it, but we're friends. We're all friends here, right? Are you guys my friends? Will you guys come to my birthday party? What the hell? These are not the words of a normal person. I've said this before, and I hate to use her as an example because I love her dearly. She's been such a huge part of my life. But my grandmother has dementia. Okay, she's going to be 89 years old in a couple months here. That's something that's a story my grandmother would tell right now. She would absolutely do that. She'd go off on the tangents. She'd be like, and he had a trophy wife. But hey, we're all friends. We're friends. We get a trophy wife. I just got to be honest. I'm sorry, but I see it. I see it every time I go visit her. She lives just a few minutes away. This is not normal. This is a symptom. But he quickly moved on, right? We're not just talking about trophy wives. I'm also going to talk about how much everybody kisses my ass. Because then Donald Trump went on a tear about how all of the, quote, internet people are now kissing his ass. And that is the phrase he used. Here's what he said here. You have to break the system a little bit and follow your own instincts. But if your vision is right, nothing will hold you down. Nothing. You have to have the right vision. Okay, if you'd stopped right there, that part actually could have been viewed as a motivational thing for these graduates going out into the working world now. You got to break the system sometimes. Break the mold, I think is a better way to say it. Don't be like everyone else. Be yourself. Go out there. Give it your best. That's a good message. But then he says, if you look at some of these internet people, I know so many of them. Elon is so terrific. But I know all of them. They all hated me in my first term. And now they're kissing my ass. It's true, all of them. It's true. It's amazing. It's nicer this way. Now, in the first term, they didn't know what happened because I won an election that, there was never a businessman that won a presidential election. Out of 100%, 8% were general and 92% were politicians. Not even admirals, just generals. Again, immediately into the dementia. Nobody knows the original point you were trying to make because now you're off on some tangent about they weren't even admirals, just generals. What were you originally trying to say? The internet people are kissing your ass, but why was that even important? You didn't break the system. They bribed you with millions of dollars, and now you've given them the keys to the system. That's what happened. You didn't break anything. They broke it after they got into it. But this is insane. I'm not a fan of the University of Alabama because I am, in fact, an Auburn fan. But you got to feel bad for those students. You got to feel bad for those graduates. You just went through one of the most grueling things in your life. And yeah, the University of Alabama is a very good school curriculum-wise. And now you have to sit through a commencement. You went through all those years of hard work to listen to a man with dementia prattle on about things that don't even make sense. As much as I dislike Alabama, man, even they didn't deserve that. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.